Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm MaK.
And today we're going to do a recap of our 2021 10 by 10 challenge.
It was a challenge.
It was a challenge. You made it. You made a sheet for us out of some paper.
Please, I'm not the artist in the family, so please don't judge it.
But yeah, that was just for us to keep track of the plays of those different games. It was a challenge that we had never done before, but I had seen several people do it on Instagram or talk about doing it. So I was interested myself, and I'm like, okay, well, we can have a mixture of kind of some of the newer games we'd gotten to kind of get some more plays of those, and then a couple older games that we might not have played as often, so that way we were getting back to older games. And yeah, what did we end up what did I end up selecting? I tried to ask you a little bit, but
well, you came to me with this idea, and I didn't really think much of it. And then he was like, well, here's the games I have listed. He's like, what do you think? And I was like, not this game, not this game, not this game. And I think all of those games were on the list. So,
well, there was a little bit of a reason why.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember if Scythe was one that you wanted or not, but that was, well, okay. My reasoning for a couple of these, first off, the Explorers was because I'd gotten you the expansion for that. That was one you liked, so I figured that way we'd get some plays in with the expansion. Scythe, I'd gotten the Rise of Fenris campaign, so I figured that would force us to kind of play through that, and that would be 8 of the 10 games. Root, it was one that I've just wanted to play more, so I put that one on there. I think that one was one that you were probably quite a bit against. That was probably the one you were against the most.
Don't put that one on there.
Probably the one.
And you did.
You were the most against, probably? I don't know. Or was there...
I wouldn't say
can't
I
remember
was
these
against it, but we'll talk about what happened.
Okay. I guess, yeah. Just, otherwise, I think the rest of them were kind of just... Stone Age we were kind of getting back to. Orleans was one of our... Well, for sure one of my favorite games.
Oh, yeah.
And it was one that I just wanted to play quite a bit. I figured it'd be easy to get through that one quite a few times. Bunny Kingdom was kind of the same way with me. Everdell was one that we had played, or hadn't played that much.
Yep.
But it was another one, kind of like Root, that I wanted to play some more. And I figured that one would actually should be easier than Root to get plays. Welcome 2 was kind of just a filler one that we could have probably literally done in a day if we wanted to. And then Viscounts.
That one was rather new to our collection, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I know you played it early in 2020 or whatever, but I don't think you actually got the copy of it until late 2020, and then...
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, that was one that we hadn't played too much, but if you've watched our channel, you know that I really like Garfield games, and you like
I don't like Garfield
you've liked a couple of them as well, but no one really, outside of me, really seemed to like Paladins, and... I wouldn't say this wasn't the level of Paladins, but I would say it was between Architects and Paladins, probably going up towards more of the Paladins level maybe. But yeah, so those were the ones we decided on.
Yes.
And then I guess we can just kind of go through the different games, how it went.
Maybe I should say this for the end. I don't know, but I thought, okay, 10 games, 10 times, that's easy. We play that, but I did not equate, you have to play these specific games 10 times in a year to be as daunting as it turned out to be. So,
yes.
So choose your games very carefully if you decide to do this challenge.
Yes, I would say, just in case you don't watch the whole video, that would be my first thing, is choose wisely.
Disclaimer.
And maybe give yourself categories as opposed to a specific game.
Yeah.
We could have put Garfield games or something maybe instead of...
Sure.
But yes.
Yeah. Let's go through it.
So I think at the midpoint of, I don't remember month by month, but I think at the midpoint of the year we had 20 plays in. And I think probably a quarter of those were Scythe, because that was the one... The Rise of Fenris campaign.
By July, I think.
Right, the Rise of Fenris camp. Well, we weren't. I think we had 2 left that kind of just sat out then after we did the campaign. But that was one that we were consistently playing, and that was probably one that I was a little more worried about as to whether or not we would play it. So that was kind of Well, at least we're getting, that one out of the way.
Yeah, and we played that with my brother and sister-in-law, so that was just a great time to...
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, so...
So they kept us on it. They were all on board to play Rise of Fenris and keep playing it. So we're really grateful for that.
Right, and then I think kind of I don't remember which other ones we had kind of started playing. I think Stone Age might have been one we'd played a few right off the bat, and maybe Bunny Kingdom.
Bunny Kingdom started off strong, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And then the rest of them weren't really doing too much. It might have been a play or two, but. And then we got to, I think, September even, and we had only played, we still, I don't think we're at 50%. We weren't at 50% with a quarter of the year left.
Yes.
But I think, at that point, there were a few. I think, Bunny Kingdom was close.
Yep.
Scythe was close. We knew Welcome to wasn't, I think it was only about halfway, but we knew that was one that we didn't really worry about. Viscounts was over halfway, I think.
We were doing good on Viscounts.
And I think at that point, I don't remember when I did it, but I think it might have been past the halfway point. We had not played Root, and you had shown no interest in it.
No one played Root at all.
So I ended up getting the app and ended up just playing solo in a way Root.
Yeah.
The whole 10 times. So then we did have that complete. We did have 10 plays of Root, but I did not get to play it like I had hoped.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, and I think that was hard because for Root you need more than 2 players. Mm-hmm. And we used our usual board gaming buddies, Zach and Carson, my brother and sister-in-law, as our Rise of Fenris group, and so we were...
And we maybe could have...
Yeah.
I think we could have played it a few times if we had
we
planned it after we got done with that Rise of Fenris campaign. We could have probably got a couple of plays in.
Yeah.
I don't know if we would have been able to do the full 10.
Yeah.
But
no, I doubt it.
So we did get that done, but that wasn't necessarily...
Well, you got it done.
That's true.
Good job.
And I think Lanterns, we had made up a few games, I think, by September. But I think we were still
knew this one was going to be easy to do.
Right. Yeah. So at the surprisingly enough, the one of them that I thought you were going to be most wanting to play, and we were going to play the most, was Explorers. And that one
Just
sat.
because it sat doesn't mean it wasn't one I wanted to play.
Oh, yeah. But it sat at 2 or 3 plays for a long time.
Yeah. Which is not a reflection of how I feel about the game. It's just there was all these other games, and that one is not a daunting one to me, and so it was let's get these other ones done. On top of that, Zach also had gotten 45 bajillion new board games, and he is obsessed with anything new and hot and whatever, and so I feel like a lot of our time got deviated towards Red Rising and all the other ones. What else did we get this year? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that would be a thing I would suggest as well. If you're going to do it, I would make one of your 10 new games. Yeah. So then you can cross those off. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a good thing to include if I was going to attempt something like this again. But then we also found out the expansion
takes so much longer.
That game by a lot more than I would have thought originally.
Yeah.
And if I had known that, then I probably would have been more likely to maybe group them, but we did not. So I actually think, I don't remember, I think we said it in our November games we played in November video, how many plays we had left going into December. Yeah. But I think it was around 20 or something. Mm-hmm. So it was still, a quarter, because we had made up some ground, but that last quarter of the year, October, November, December, I felt like whenever we would play a game, we pretty much tried to make it one of these games, and it was most of the time Explorers and Orleans. Yeah, I think were the ones that were kind of behind. Mm-hmm. And I suppose that's kind of probably like you feel about Explorers, and I don't mind Explorers either, but that's kind of how I feel about Orleans. But I don't know that you love playing Orleans just one-on-one against me as much.
Well, yeah, maybe we should talk about each game individually.
Okay, we'll start. So anyway, we did end up completing it in December. But
Good job.
We've got the check marks in red in like the last week we played. So we did like 15% of it in 15 games in the last week.
Thank God my sister moved in because she helped us finish like
that's true.
At least like seven
it was at least that many.
Yeah,
probably more.
It was a lot.
So yeah, we did end up completing it. So we're successful.
She came to work.
Yeah, once we were that close, we had to.
She's scarred.
She's scarred for life.
Just kidding.
But yeah, you said we'd be able to do it. I didn't believe you.
Well, it's just like we've been together for like almost 12 years. I'm like, I am inordinately stubborn. So if I say we're gonna finish this, we're gonna finish it.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have been able to though if you hadn't played Root solo so many times though. Mm-hmm. So
that is true as well. But yes, okay, let's go through them one by one. So
please go in order of the thing.
Okay,
I'll never
Scythe.
remember which ones we've touched.
Scythe. What is that?
I don't know. I mean, I like Scythe. It's a good game. Fenris definitely. I don't know that I've gotten any better at the game. Like I feel like I've stayed like really not great at it.
I think you won the final game we played.
I didn't win a game in Fenris.
No.
The
last one we ended up playing of Scythe.
Yes, the last one. Yes, out of 10 games, I won one. And was that the one that I even the odds or whatever by doing them both as like the A? Or was it the second
doing them both as the A?
The pairings?
Oh, no, we did the two worst ones.
Oh, that's right.
I think.
Yeah, that's right.
The worst, or...
We did a
based
D.
on... Yeah.
A D level.
Yeah, based on
for both of us.
What is it called? No one's going to have any clue what you're talking about if you just say A pairings and D pairings. That has nothing to do with
the faction, and then the match.
No, what is it called that determines the A level type A level faction mat combo? I don't even remember what that's called. Just a tier list.
Yeah.
A tier list of the best combos, and then some of them are pretty much banned.
Yes.
What that's called, because it's not actually in the game. It doesn't have in the rule book these two combined are an A.
Yeah, no, I googled side combination.
Yes.
Grid or whatever, and
so we the last two games we played two that were supposedly overpowered.
Yeah.
And stuff, and then the last game we played two that were supposed to be bad combinations.
Some bad ones.
And I think you won the bad combination one.
Yes, I did. So. Woo! Because that's where I've been playing, throughout all of Fenris. I was like, why? After the fact now, I'm I didn't know. I knew there was, that combo thing, but I didn't know, thinking about it strategically in Fenris. And now I'm like, Zach, why did you let me pick this faction? I was like, it has, almost no good ability. Or, no mats that are, really good with it, like Rusevet. Because I played Polania or whatever right away, and then I changed to Rusevet. So
then you had the overpowered one.
Yes, I still couldn't win.
Yeah, maybe you don't. But I have grown to like Scythe even more than I originally did. It was kind of one that I liked, but I didn't know that I loved, because in the Stonemaier games, I really the top three are Viticulture, Wingspan, and Tapestry for me. But now I feel like this one is actually in that conversation with those games. Before it was kind of below that, but not the lowest ranked of the Stonemaier
I would
games.
say it's in my top Stonemaier games.
Well, we may have a video
which I think speaks
later in the year talking about that.
Yeah, which I think speaks words for this game, because it's definitely not one you would think is up my alley. You wouldn't think it's, after losing and losing and losing and losing, you would think that I wouldn't like this. But you cannot argue some of the mechanics in this game. It is so cool, so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say
I like
even
it
after all those
still.
plays, I still think about kind of how I could have played it differently after the fact.
Yeah, well, I don't do that, so that's probably why I never improved.
Okay, let's get to Orleans.
I don't want to play this game for a very long time.
Wow.
Zach is unbeatable at this game, if you are me. If anybody would like to come beat Zach at Orleans, I will pay your airfare. Okay, just kidding. I'm not making money, but that is the
I'm
sentiment
not even
I
good
have.
at Orleans. Like, I don't even use, most of the time I don't use those, like, extra spots that you can buy with the traders.
Yeah, he says he's not good, and then he proceeds to whoop my butt every time, which just makes me feel even better.
Well, I mean, people that are really good at these, I always think of, like, the best of the best at these games, and it's like, I know I would get stomped by these people because, like, especially in, like, Scythe, they're not quite the same, because I think Scythe, you could argue, can be figured out, sort of. I think you could figure out how many moves...
Yeah,
the
it's
best
like
of the
chess.
best
Yep.
know how many moves they can win in, or at least close.
Yep.
Orleans isn't that,
Yeah.
but I mean, the best of the best ones would, I think, know exactly what tracks to go up in what order, or what makes for the best.
Probably.
Typically, would make for the best scoring, but maybe not.
Well, and we got the expansion like partway through, didn't we? Through the year, or we started playing with that one, which I think.
I liked that board. We got the. What is it, Traders and Intrigue or something?
Yeah.
No, something like that.
Whichever one is not the mean one, we played with that one.
Yeah, there's a mean board and a non-mean board. We played with the non-mean one, and I think I did more trading with that, or putting my extra people into that more than I ever did with the original one. So, if you really like Orleans, I would definitely at least look into that expansion. I don't know that you need it. It doesn't like change the game that much, but. I'd look into that if.
Yeah.
But I think I still really like Orleans. Still willing to play it.
I need a break.
But that one did take a little bit to get through.
Yeah.
It's not one that I'm like, okay, I have to play it right now. But I think it was okay. I guess first going back to Scythe, what would you recommend putting that in a 10x10?
Only if you have the Rise of Fenris campaign.
I think that's fair. I don't know.
Because otherwise, I
how
don't
it
know
would've
that
been.
we would have pushed. I mean,
That's true.
We let 2 games sit at the end of it since like July.
That's true. But I think we were trying to get some of these other ones to catch up.
I know, true.
And
if we had a smaller collection, I would say Scythe for sure. But especially if you just are getting Scythe and learning it, I think that's really helpful. As you'll see in some of these games, I did find this 10x10 to be a little helpful.
How about Orleans?
I can't, no. If it's just you and someone else and they beat you every time, that is just crushing.
You don't think you can learn more from Orleans playing it 10 times?
No. No. I learned to go up the farmer's track because I couldn't let you go 6 steps ahead of me on that one. But then he goes on the stupid university track fast, and then he decides, oh, maybe I'll just do the night one this time. So like, there's like, you can't do everything in that game. So if it's just catching you, it's not a good strategy. And I haven't, after 10 games, I still don't know what the best one is. So.
Yeah, I really like the game, but I don't know that I would say that it's maybe the best one for a 10x10.
Yeah.
So then we go to Explorers, which I would also say is not the best for a 10x10.
Okay, well, the expansion made it so much longer.
It did make it longer,
Which
but
I
it
think...
also made it, in my opinion, actually playable for that many games in a row. Or, not in a row, but for that many games of it in a year.
Shots fired.
I think.
Okay.
It just added that extra level of being able to like build that like mill
shipwrecks,
and the shipwrecks, yeah, all of that stuff. I think if it didn't have that, I just don't know.
Well,
it would have been too. I don't think.
And
I liked what that added.
And we play nicey nice too.
Yeah.
Like with a 2-player game, it's very easy to take and split the table. Basically, you stay on your side and work on your islands. I'll go on my side and play on my islands. I did play a 4-player version of this game, and I was like, oh, this is so frustrating. Because it was like, oh, they're going to take my island, and they're going to take my island. Now he's taking my my chicken. And so, this game, I think, depending on your player count, could definitely help or hurt. But I maybe wouldn't recommend this one for a 10x10 either. Mm-hmm. I still love the game.
Yes. But, yeah, kind of like in Scythe too, we usually did not battle each other. You did that last game to win, but we typically did not battle each other.
Yeah.
And I think you would definitely 100% agree with me. If we were being nasty in this game, you would not. I know you would not like this game that much, and you would not want it on the list.
No. Well, it doesn't make logical sense, I don't think, to like, unless you're, because the thing about Explorers is you need to be well-rounded in the scoring. You can't just focus on one thing. And so to go after one thing constantly in that game, like to disrupt others, is I don't see how that helps you, really.
Well, if you didn't have any good tiles for yourself to complete things, you might as well just throw it out there and mess them over. If they've got a really big island going.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know that I'd want to play it like that.
Yeah.
Not for 10 plays, anyway. But, yeah, otherwise, that one took... What was it? That was one that... took the most effort at the end of the year to complete.
Yeah, we had to play like
we had three of them in
games.
red, which was the same as Orleans. Those two were like the last two that had a decent amount of plays left.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything else about Explorers?
Nope.
Then we've got Bunny Kingdom,
which I didn't really understand why this was on the list, because I felt like it was a game that was brought to the table fairly regularly.
It was, and I think in my head I thought you liked this more than I think you do. So I thought this would be another one, kind of one of those easier ones in my head. But I had not realized that you didn't like it as much. And I think I had gotten the expansion that Christmas.
Yeah.
So that was another part. So that was like Explorers. We just gotten the expansion. So that's I forgot about that. That was part of the reason why I wanted that. I always want to say Pie in the Sky, but that is the expansion, I think, to...
Oh, I remembered something that I wanted to say.
Okay.
Sorry. This is totally random. Not really, but I was thinking about it. I was just going to say, after playing Scythe so many times, I feel like I'm way more comfortable with the battle aspect now. Just saying. I just wanted to caveat that and say that after this many plays, I feel confident I could do that now.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, that's good.
Back to Bunny Kingdom. Pie in the Sky.
Which I don't... But that is not the name of it. It's just in the sky.
I know. I'm just looking at it now. Yeah, something in the sky.
It's just...
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's one that I really love. So I knew I could play it easily 10 times. And even though I played it 10 times, I could have probably played it another 10 times. It's just one that I just really love the drafting in it. And that was... probably outside of the solo route finishing that off. I think that was like one of the first ones we completed.
Yeah.
So I think I played some of those though with Jesse and then some with Abby.
Yep.
Because you are not quite as big a fan of it as I am.
I like the drafting. It's just I'm conflicted typically, especially now with the expansion. It's so hard to pick cards sometimes, and I wouldn't say that I'm comfortable with the scoring aspect of this game still. Like, it just boggles my mind sometimes that, like, I understand you can only have one resource of that type, but I'm like, but if I have 2 carrot plots, why does it count as 2? Like, logically, but you can only have 1, and so, yeah, I don't know. It's good, the placement isn't, I think, up my alley. I still really like this game, though.
I don't know, maybe I'll see what your thoughts are. I think it is one that I would recommend putting in a 10 by 10, but it's hard because I know how much I like it. It is like it's probably a top 20 game of all time for me, if not top 10. So it's hard for me to really be...
Well, and I don't think it was in my top 50, so I would say it's a good game for a 10 by 10 because it's good at 2-player, it's good at 3-player, and it's approachable at a 4-player. So I think it's good with player counts.
pretty well with all player counts. Yeah. It plays differently in the player counts, but it plays well at all the player counts.
So I think for that alone, because we did plays with other people, Taylor and Kristen, Zach and Carson, I think that would make it a good one to have.
Then we had Root, which,
I told
there's not
him.
much really to say about this.
I told him, no.
Just ended up playing, and the app, I would highly, if you don't have Root and you want to know or learn about Root, I would highly, highly, highly recommend getting the app because it is a great way to learn it. And
maybe
I think
I'll
when we end up,
it.
so we haven't said it yet, but this year
Yeah.
We're not doing the 10 by 10 again, but we're going to try to play the...
Instead, we're taking on a less daunting challenge.
Right, all the way less. Every game in the collection once.
Oh.
So once we get to Root, I'll have to probably go back to the app a little bit and relearn how each one of the factions works to whenever whoever ends up playing that kind of go through that. Because I think that's a very good way to learn each of the different factions as well and how they work kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, outside of that, I would say... For Root, if you are going to put it in a 10 by 10, make sure ahead of time that you have a group of at least three people, if not 4, that are wanting to play this game and wanting to play it that many times.
Yeah.
If you do have that group, then I would say it's probably a really good one for that. But if you don't, it's not really worth trying to force into playing it. Like I said, now with this only having to, trying to play each game once, I think that's approachable, or a little easier to do, like getting someone to play it once.
Yeah.
But 10 times is
I
be a lot.
think Root is just too new to me yet, and with Scythe, Orleans, Everdell, Bunny Kingdom on here, it was just a little overwhelming to throw that one on there for me as well. I've played the game twice, I think, and each time I've thought, this game is not for me. So it was just like,
It was more me wanting to get more plays of it. But
I do want to try it because I know how well you like it and whatever. It just was not in the cards between all the new games and then the ones that we had to play in this list. So
yeah, not really much else about Root. I think even if you did play it, you wouldn't have wanted to play it 10 times.
You're probably right about that.
Then we go to Everdell.
Yeah.
Which was another one. It was similar to Root, which I think we'd had kind of sitting around for a little while.
Yeah.
That I think it was a little harder to get you to want to play that one.
Yeah.
So that was another one where I was kind of like, these were kind of, I think, the two that I really wanted to almost force to the table. Because I don't know how many times we had played Everdell before that, but I don't think it was too many.
Maybe like twice.
Yeah, it was something like that. But yeah, Everdell ended up being one. What did we get here? I played a couple, so that was lagging behind, and ended up playing 2 games of it solo. It looks like I put S's down for when they were solo plays. So I played 2 of those, and it's actually a game that's very easy to play the solo variant, or at least I don't know if there's a new solo variant with any of the expansions, but the one in the base game is pretty easy to control. It doesn't really require too much like setup or like flipping a card over and then having to take an action based on certain procedures or whatever. It's pretty easy to do. So those games flew by really quickly. So I kind of knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, because at that point looks like we only had 2 games of it played.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking that it was going to turn into a Root at that point.
Yeah.
But then so I knew I could complete it if I had to solo, but I was hoping not to. But then we ended up getting the other 6 plays in.
Yeah, and I will say that when I first played this game, I don't think I was in a good mood about it, and so it kind of daunted the whole thing, and then it seemed like one that Zach could easily puzzle out, and so I was like, no, not another one. And I actually, I really love this game now, like a lot, and I am nervous for the expansion because I just am starting to love the base game. But I will say this game totally grew on me once I figured out how it worked. So good. Such a good game.
Yeah, I think for sure after a first play and whatnot, it can come across as being, I don't know, daunting or difficult based on your very limited amount of actions and how you have to chain things together. Especially
I'm used to like 5 meeples right away.
Right.
In some games.
Right, and especially with
2 hedgehogs.
Right.
2 hedgehogs.
A lack of knowledge of all the cards that are out there and kind of what they do. Which we both had. It's not like I had played it like extra times.
You just assimilated quicker than I did to it.
Yeah, maybe. But It's actually, I don't know if... I'm thinking long term if you will end up being better at this game than I am. I'm not 100% sure because this game is one kind of like... Well, it's not like Tapestry. It feels like it should be like Tapestry where you want to extend it as long as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's one thing I struggle with this game.
That's not
I don't think that's what you want in this game because I've had like one where I pretty much in the second thing was able to fill out my entire thing, but then like you're limited to those 15 spots.
Yeah.
And having these lower point ones doesn't really get you anything, especially when the other people are in the other or the next round and they're able to claim all those extra points, and you're just sitting there just comboing these cards together or building as many as you can.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird thing where it's like it feels like that's what I should be doing and like trying to prolong it as long as possible. And I think there is some of that in there, but I don't think that you necessarily have to do that.
Well, because
or like timing it right.
Right, exactly, because people have to leave things out there, you know, and the longer you do that, then you kind of delaying the inevitable for everybody else, and so by the time you take yours off, everyone's ready to place theirs, and now there's no place for you to go, or like it's not what you wanted, so.
Right. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing, and I liked it quite a bit, but I still wasn't 100% sure how I felt about it after the first 5 or so plays, but yeah, after we've gotten through this, I've really come to enjoy it a lot more and look forward to playing it more as well.
Dare I say, one of my favorite woodland creature games.
Would you say that someone should put this on a 10 by 10?
Maybe. I mean, I think playing it more definitely will help you get better at the game, so if that's your aim with it. But if, yeah, I don't know. This game has to kind of be in your wheelhouse, too. Like, it's not difficult, per se, but you have to be able to, you know, figure out how it works in order to do it. So, you probably are definitely going to need a couple of plays, and the first 5 might be frustrating.
Yeah, I think, I agree. I think this one could be on a 10 by 10 for probably half the people and then not for the other half. I think this one I would probably play a couple times before you'd put it on a 10 by 10. I don't think I'd put it on there if you hadn't played it before and had just gotten it. Just because I think there's a chance you might not like it, but you might really love it. So it could be one that it'll be really easy to get 10 plays through because it's not that long either. So you could get through them rather quickly if you like the game. But if you don't like the game, it'll probably feel...
Yeah.
Like
I found myself, like, towards the end being like, when can we play Everdell again?
Yeah.
So, Lanterns.
Oh, boy.
One of my favorite top 10 games of all time. So, it threw me a softball.
That was a softball, and it was an older one that we hadn't played as much.
This is one of the first games Zach got when he started really expanding his collection, and we loved it then.
Because I think this was, like Stone Age, I think this was one that was on Will Wheaton's tabletop, I believe. So I think that was one of the reasons why that ended up being one of the first ones. But yeah, right when we got it, I was like, oh, this is really awesome, and I loved how colorful it was. And it's just such a solid game. The flow is really smooth. It makes a lot of sense. There's not really anything that's... I'm trying to think if there's anything really difficult about it outside of the how many tokens to take when you're matching up
if you got multiple
the platforms or whatever. That's the only thing that may be difficult. I'm still not 100% sure if we're doing that right when you're matching. Like, to me, I feel like if you're matching that platform with 2 other things, even though they're not platforms, that should be 2 tokens, but I think that's only 1.
No.
I think it's per platform.
Yeah, no, you're getting it per platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think we were talking when we were finishing this game, like, how much we like the game and how much we still like it. Like, it's that solid of a... I mean, weren't we talking about that? Like, it's so solid of a game. Like, this one will never leave our collection.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, exactly what you said. There was the possibility that, going back to an older game, 'cause sometimes they aren't as good as they once were in your eyes or whatever. But this one I think is just as good as ever. It's extremely quick. It's a great tile placement and set collection game.
Yeah, and I love playing this one with Zach specifically. Like, it's good with other players too. Not gonna say it's not, but like, I love playing it with Zach. Like, this is a really fun game between the two of us, I think.
And it's almost always close is the thing. It's like just
what I
one
love
turn.
About it.
It always comes down to like a one turn difference on someone getting something before someone else, and it's a couple 1 or 2 points usually, or possibly a tie.
Yeah.
But yeah, solid game. I would
Love it.
If you like lanterns, it's definitely an easy one I think to put on a 10x10.
For sure.
If we were doing another 10x10, I would. Well, if we hadn't just put it on there, I would. It would be on the list.
Well, and we have the expansion too that I've never played, so maybe the expansion would be. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping to try that, but once we kind of just got to the point where we needed to get all the games done, I'm like, we're just gonna leave it what we know, and then maybe we can explore
Sorry,
that.
I love the base game so much. I just don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, won't ruin it.
Scaredy Cat expansion, MaK.
Oh boy. And then we go over to Viscounts of the West Kingdom.
I had to teach Zach how to pronounce this game.
Okay. I specifically came up to you and asked you, I'm like, how do you pronounce this? Because it's not, I'm pretty sure I said it's not Viscounts, right? Because it just did not sound right to me. I'm like, this can't possibly be how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah. No.
I probably wouldn't have guessed that. I probably would have said Viscounts if I had to say what I thought it was going to be.
No, it's okay. I just had to laugh because I was like, finally, a board game thing I can better at.
Well, at least I went to the right person.
This one word pronunciation.
Went to the right person.
And this game, like Everdell, amazing. I love it so much. After every play, I was feeling so much better every time we played. I was like, I understand this game. I actually understand this game. So it's by far, I think, the best one in the West Kingdom trilogy.
By far over Architects?
Yeah.
And as a by far?
By far, Paladin is by far better than Paladins, and it's better than Architects. Satisfied?
Well, I just wanted to know if it was that much higher.
No,
I'm like, I thought you liked Architects a decent amount.
Yeah, you don't let me exaggerate the situation.
I just wanted to know how much. I was just curious. I knew you didn't like Paladins, but I wanted to know. I was going to be a little surprised if it was like high superior over.
And maybe it's just
Architects,
because we played it so much and not Architects, but yeah, I love Viscounts. I thought it was great to play. Like Everdell, I just got better every time we played it. So.
Yeah, and I think there's enough stuff to explore in the game. I'm right now on Kickstarter. There are 2 expansions and a big box to this, and I really want to get them. I don't know.
Well, you acting like you're not gonna get them. You already ordered them, didn't you?
I did not yet.
Okay.
But I'm definitely thinking about it because I had only played a couple times to that point as well, but I knew from those first plays that I really liked what was happening, and I was just hoping that you would enjoy it. I was hoping that because after those plays, I wasn't 100% sure. I couldn't tell how heavy it was. I knew it wasn't Paladin's level, but I was like, this might just be a little too much for you to like it. So I was really glad that you ended up really liking it.
The first playthrough definitely did not leave me like wanting more. I was like, oh, this is overwhelming. There are all these different symbols and this match with these different things.
There's quite a bit of symbology.
I mean, luckily, I think you get the gist of it after a while. But, I mean, which they do well in all of their games. But, it just took me a couple of plays to really figure.
No, I agree to really, really like it a lot more as well. And I might agree it might be my favorite West Kingdom game.
Well, you did
But I recently played Architects again with the expansion, and now they're fighting again. Because Architects at one point was probably my favorite game.
His first love, really.
I don't know if it was my first love. I really loved Stone Age at one point too.
All right.
But Architects was probably my number 1 game at one point. But then it just the way the meta of the group had turned this into a race game.
Because nobody builds buildings. Like, why?
Right. So That's the only thing that killed it for me, but I love the worker placement in that one. But this one they're probably even for me right now. And Paladins could be up there. I just don't get to play it enough, so I don't know where.
Well, you'll get to play it at least one time.
There we go, the one time, and then I'll have to decide. Where it ranks. But yeah, I don't know though that I would say that it should be on a 10x10 unless you know that you like it. I think personally, if we were going to do it again, I would just do a group of Garfield games.
If you have all of them.
Well, I mean, even if you had a couple of them, if you had Raiders of the North Sea, I think I shouldn't assume, but I just have a feeling like if you have one Garfield game and you really like it, you probably have at least one or two other ones because
they do
they're all ranked. They're all kind of ranked pretty highly on Board Game Geek. So I would guess. I don't know for sure. But
You keep this honest. You keep this honest. Yeah.
But yeah. I would put it on a personal 10x10, but might do it in a group otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, if you probably fair because definitely
Welcome to.
Oh, this is easy. It's a great game. It's always been a great game. We got the expansion, the seasonal expansion, which was good. We played through, I think, Halloween and winter by the time we had gotten the expansion, so we got to try a couple new things with it.
It was dry erase, actually. So it came with 4 different expansions, or it was I think it was the Easter one, Winter
Summer.
Wonderland, summer is it ice cream?
Yeah.
Ice cream, and then Halloween.
Yeah.
We got to play those last 2, which are pretty good. It changes it up a little bit, which I liked. And Welcome to is, if you've played it, Welcome to is Welcome to. It's a pretty solid flip and write game.
Yeah. I still love it.
Yeah, if you haven't tried it and you like the roll and write type games or flip and write type games, I would definitely look into it. And going into this, you probably kind of know if you've got your filler games, whatever filler games you want in a 10x10. I would recommend for sure putting 1, if not probably 2. We only did like 1.
3, depending on what you have.
Right. We only did 1, and I think looking back, we should have probably done 2 at least.
Yeah, we could have used another one.
But yeah, you know what your filler games are. If it happens to be this one, I think it's a perfect one for a 10x10. But I think if you had gone, shown clever, or what else?
I wouldn't have been able to play that one 10 times.
You wouldn't have been able to play that 10 times?
No. It's like Orleans. I just lose over and over and over again.
It's the same feel.
No. I just meant I lose over and over and over
again. Well, you wouldn't have put it on there.
Yeah, no.
But would you recommend others if that was their go-to roll and write game?
Yep.
Okay.
All right,
then we'll go to the last one, the Stone Age.
This one makes me so sad because this was the first game that you brought home after Catan and Ticket to Ride, right?
It was definitely one of the first ones. I don't know if it was the first one or if it was one of the first. It was definitely in the first. What else was there? I think I got Photosynthesis pretty early.
Oh.
I got 5 Tribes pretty early.
Oh, let's not talk about this.
It was in the top
of those.
It was like in the first
Stone
5
Age
or first 10.
was the hit though that you had brought.
It was what introduced me to and gave me my love for worker placement.
Yes, and everything else.
And a lot of other interesting things.
We loved this game so much when it came out, and now I'm just heartbroken because I don't like it as much anymore. It's just, there are so many other games that do stuff like this better. And, it was just really heartbreaking to lose like 9 times, too.
Wow. Yeah, no, I felt the same way. I was like, I put this on here because I knew we liked it, and we hadn't played it that much in the last year or 2, or before that. Yeah. And I was like, that'd be a good way to get back to one of the classic games. It'll let us play one and it's not like it's that thinky or anything, so it's one that you could get to the table, and it doesn't have to be like you have to be on top of your game, and it has to be like the middle of the day type thing. You could play it a little later. But yeah, as we were playing through it, it felt like a chore.
Oh my god.
And it does. It makes me sad as well, because it was
just like, we gotta get Stone Age to the table. I was like, can't I do the dishes instead?
But yeah, it's definitely a solid game to introduce people to the hobby and one to be one of your first games, but it just kind of, I don't know. I know there's an expansion, but I don't know that it'll breathe enough life into it to warrant. I don't know that it's going to actually leave a collection or anything like that. But
yeah,
but
I
it's
think
just
it's
not
too
one that.
nostalgic. We could never actually get rid of it.
Yeah, but it is a little disappointing. We'll probably still play it every now and then, but I don't think.
It's not coming to the table for a while now.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done. He needs a timeout. The chieftain can sit over there. Yeah.
But yeah, unless it's a newer game to you, well, I don't know if it would just be that or.
If you're playing one-on-one, do not play this game in a 10x10.
Well, you might. I mean, originally, if we didn't have 10 games back in the day when this was the top one, probably. But if we had played it back then, I think we would have. We would have said that it was probably our favorite one to play 10 games of.
I suppose. Yeah.
I think. Back in the day. So if it's something that you really, really still like, and I would put it on there because I think it's easy enough to play. But yeah, if you're, I would I would just be a little weary of old games that you're trying to get back to 10 times. Just make sure that it's not a game that like feels like it's maybe been replaced by other games in your collection, because if that's the case, you might be like, I would rather be playing this game right now.
Yeah, and I don't know that we really thought that about it. You know, Lanterns, there's two sides of the coin. Lanterns came out, or, you know, Lanterns was in this. Great. There's nothing. You know, I'm sure there are games that are similar to it in our collection, but nothing, you know, for me anyway, that rivals this. And Stone Age was the other side of the coin, and yeah. I don't know that I realized there were other games now that I think I would prefer playing.
Would you play Architects over it? Worker Placement?
Yeah.
Raiders? Trying to think of worker placement games.
Yeah.
Viticulture?
Viticulture I would have preferred to have on the 10x10.
That was one we probably should have put on there.
Yep.
Do we have a... Oh yeah, Scythe. For some reason I was like, do we even have a Stonemaier game in here? What was I even thinking?
Oh, brother. Yeah.
But, yeah, overall, what do you think of the 10x10 experience? Would you recommend it to others?
I mean, maybe. Like, if you have... So, Zach and I are very fortunate, obviously. He has a lot of board games. Obviously, we budget and plan and whatever for this collection. And we just have so many games and ones that you are, you know, getting in still. And so that, I think, alone, because our collection is so big, makes this so difficult to do. Because there are so many other games. And especially when you get to a point with, like, Stone Age, like... It was like, I don't want to play this game anymore, and there are so many other ones I'd rather be spending my time with that it was just hard to get to the table on that one. I would say that if you have a smaller collection, you know, maybe 50 games or so, and maybe some of them, and maybe a new one, like Zach said, that you guys are wanting to learn, or like some old ones, you know, I think, yes, I maybe would try it, but...
So if Taylor and Kristen could agree on 10 games to do, would you recommend it for them? Because their collection isn't huge.
Yeah. I mean, they've got kids, though. Like,
that's true.
So that's like time all of it in itself.
So when Hudson's old enough and he can play along.
Yeah.
And then they can add a few for Hudson.
Yeah. the crocodile, or the stacking one for the crocodiles.
Yeah, what's it called? Totally blanking on it.
Yeah.
Is it called Stack 'em Up? I don't remember. I don't know. Animal upon Animal.
Oh, yeah,
that's what it's called.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have kids, so I would say that's maybe a factor in this situation, is if you have kids, the age of your children.
Yeah. Or, I mean, yeah, depending on, whether you have kids or if you have other things you do and whatnot, I think to take that into account, because I think you could still do a 10x10, but then you probably want more games like Lanterns, which is pretty short, Welcome 2, which is pretty short, and maybe only put like one like game that's like an hour plus long.
I would say that if nothing else, split it 50-50. You know, 5 decent, you know, short and or filler games, 5 games to challenge you.
Yeah. I would say do that. Definitely check and make sure with whoever, if you're going to have a main gaming partner in doing the 10x10, make sure that they actually agree to all the games. That would be another thing of advice.
I feel called out.
And also, no.
I know.
I shouldn't have put root on it.
I didn't realize how serious you were about this situation until it was too late.
But yeah, and then, I would definitely consider, if you do have a larger collection, if you can find ways to group games, like whether
I feel like
it be...
that's a cheat, though.
I mean, it's a little bit of a cheat, but then you can at least complete it, and you don't...
Yeah.
That way, and you can maybe broaden what you're playing in your collection still.
Yeah.
Because you could do, like, worker placement games, or you could do Stonemaier games if you had a lot of those, or whatever types of games you like.
Yeah.
It just opens it up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about the 10x10 challenge? We'll have to see after this year which we prefer. If we prefer the 10x10 or the collection completion A to Z.
I'm already struggling with the collection completion A to Z because there are games I want to play, but can't play them because they're not in the correct alphabet setting yet.
We can play them. We just have to play them again once we get to that letter.
Exactly. I miss prior years when we could just play whatever we wanted when we wanted. But it's good. Geez. We need to go through our collection. So
we are, and that'll be a way to possibly call some of the games. Yeah. And in the A's, we may or may not have already decided on one. That may even be in the Board Game Geek top 100 of all time. So if you've made it this far, you might want to subscribe so that you can see a video. We're going to be doing a video on each letter. So
on our next train crash of a program.
See what we say. See what game that is.
Yeah.
If you can guess what game that is. Leave a comment below guessing what A game might be possibly leaving our collection.
Oh, shoot.
But
so, I mean, no, this was fun to do. And if you're out there, it's definitely something, different to challenge yourself with. Because you can play whatever game you want whenever you want. But then you are missing out, maybe on some games you're not playing as much because of that. So, it's a good way to incorporate those back in.
Right, I agree. And I would also say, originally when we started this, I wanted a wooden version of this. I would definitely try the 10x10 or whatever challenge you're doing first before investing in one, because I think they were pretty expensive. And now that we've done it, I personally don't think I would do another 10x10.
I don't think that I want to do another one.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
I was thinking of possibly doing a challenge with Jesse sometime to play all the Stonemaier or 10 Stonemaier games 10 times in like a week's period, but that's just more of like a...
What, are you going to take off work?
A challenge. Gonna take off work sick.
Nice.
I'm too sick to work. But no, I think those are my thoughts, your thoughts on the 10x10.
And if you have any thoughts, leave them below. We'd love to hear if you've done a 10x10 before, what your thoughts were, or if you're planning on doing one. If you have questions, we'd love to answer those too.
Yeah, sure. Otherwise, we hope to see you next time.
Thanks for watching.
And as always, don't forget to...
keep on nibbling.
On our content.
Oh, I hate that.